Witamy wszystkich bardzo serdecznie na ostatniej lekcji w tym roku szkolnym, a w naszym studiu jest pani Aleksandra Kowalska, która będzie miała zaszczyt poprowadzić dla Was ostatnią lekcję w tym roku. Witamy bardzo serdecznie.
Witam ponownie. Ostatnia lekcja będzie o wakacjach, ale nie tak typowo, co się na wakacjach robi, tylko gdzie je spędzają i w jaki sposób Brytyjczycy. So, today we're going to talk about Brits on holiday, and I'm going to tell you about some places that the British nation visit on holiday, and maybe a little bit about why they visit those places and what is special about them. So here you can see a few photos of holiday destinations popular among British people, and some of them are in Britain, in UK, and some of them are somewhere in Europe. And I think you would be shocked which of them actually are in Great Britain. So let's start with the topic of the time. So when do the British people go on their holidays? Well, it's similar to Poland actually. 2/3, so most of British people have their holidays in July and August. And this is because basically school children have holidays then, so families prefer to go on holidays in this time, like in Poland. And the holidays are from the end of July until the beginning of September, so this period can actually prolong. And usually the British people have 4 weeks, 28 days of holidays. Polish people have 26 per year, and it is popular to take 2 of these weeks during the summer, and the rest is kind of split, so the other days off. There is a trend, it means something that people start doing, that British people go on a second holiday abroad in the winter, and they either go skiing in the Alps, or they choose to sunbathe and spend some time in hot climate. During the spring breaks, they also go for short city breaks. So this is how they split their time off. Older British people who don't work anymore are going to Greece and to the Mediterranean, and they often travel on cruises there, and it is popular kind of throughout all the year. They like to relax very much, and the British people also, older people, have holiday homes in Greece, in Italy, in Portugal, in Spain, in Canary Islands, so all over Europe. And let's talk first about summer break, so where the British people usually go. And the most popular destinations are in the south of UK, in the coast, so where you can have some sea and beaches. And the top destinations are Cornwall, Devon, Somerset, Dorset, South Coast, and Lake District. And the Lake District is not in the south. So let's move on to the first place, to Cornwall. Cornwall is located in the southwest of England, so kind of at the lower tip of England, and it has got a great climate, and in Cornwall you can even see some palm trees because the climate is so mild. Tam jest tak łagodny klimat, że nawet rosną tam palmy, które kiedyś tam zasadzono, już teraz tam się zadomowiły i cały czas rosną. It's got over 300 beaches, and most of these beaches are sandy, and they also have the most beautiful scenery and a lot of historic little towns and markets and fishing villages with harbors. So it's a very popular place for people with families to visit on holiday. And the Lizard Peninsula is the most southerly point in England. So the most southern point in England is actually in Cornwall. So you can imagine that it's warmer than London probably. The next place that people visit on holiday is Devon. And Devon is also on the coast. It is the 3rd largest county in the UK with over 200 miles of coastline. So also beaches and sand. And it's important to know that it has 5 areas of outstanding natural beauty and 2 national parks. I'm going to switch into Polish for a while. Wiecie, że w Polsce mamy coś takiego jak parki narodowe i też rezerwaty i właśnie Outstanding Natural Beauty Areas i National Parks to są takie miejsca i jest ich aż 7 w sumie na terenie hrabstwa Devon. Dlatego też ludzie je zwiedzają po prostu, żeby zobaczyć te ładne, naturalne miejsca. The name Devon means district of the tribe of Demoni, who are Saxons called Devonians. So the name is derived from the inhabitants, and they were the original inhabitants, the Britons. So this is quite an old district and quite an old county with a lot of history. To jest takie starsze hrabstwo z taką starą historią, bo tam mieszkali, tam na początku historii, że tak powiem, Anglii i całej Wielkiej Brytanii, wyspy mam na myśli, już oni się osiedlili i mieli tam stałe tak jakby miejsce do mieszkania i dlatego Devon nazwę ma od tego plemienia, które tam właśnie rezydowało. To było mniej więcej III-IV wiek naszej ery. And the local delicacy, which means something special to eat, is the Devonshire cream tea, thick cream with homemade scones and jams. I to, słuchajcie, wcale nie jest herbata, tylko tea to jest podwieczorek i to jest taki specjalny krem, bardzo gęsty. Do niego podaje się scones, czyli takie jakby, ciężko to powiedzieć, to są taki typ ciastko bułek bym to nazwała i do tego dodaje się dżem i to jest taka specjalność z Devon, warto spróbować, jeżeli kiedykolwiek tam będziecie i będziecie mieli szansę coś takiego zjeść. The next place is Somerset i słuchajcie, tu na zdjęciach od razu powiem, macie dwa miejsca, które są takimi historycznymi miejscami w Somerset. To pierwsze to jest Wells, a to drugie to jest Bath i to drugie Bath to był taki kurort już XVII-wieczny, XVIII-wieczny i już nawet Rzymianie używali tego jako kurortu, bo nazwa Bath właśnie podchodzi od tego, że tam znajdowały się łaźnie rzymskie i do tej pory, jak widzicie na zdjęciu, możemy zaobserwować ich pozostałości. So Somerset is a beautiful county of rural countryside with hills, gorges and caves. So you can see beautiful nature there and a lot of picturesque areas. And it is famous for farms. And these farms produce two very important products for the British society, for the British community: scrumpy cider, which is a drink, and cheddar cheese. And I'm sure you know what cheddar cheese is. It's kind of. I'm sure you've seen it. It's orange cheese, and it's it has very strong taste, and it's really tasty. And it's a local specialty, and cheddar cheese is known all over the world. And as I mentioned before, two of the most beautiful cities in Somerset are Bath and Wells, and you can see the spectacular buildings of these two towns in the picture. Next part of England, of UK, that is visited by the British is Dorset. And as you can see, Dorset is famous for the coastline and for rural areas as well. It lies in the Jurassic coast, and there are beautiful rock formations. One of them you can see in the picture. And also you can see a lot of historical places, hill forts, gardens and great abbeys in Dorset. Słuchajcie, wytłumaczę Wam, co to są hill forts. Kiedyś to były takie miejsca, w których się budowane były siedliska ludzkie i to były tak jakby jak nasze grody i wznosiło się takie wały, podwyższenia z ziemi i właśnie to nazywało się hill fort i możecie to zobaczyć na drugim zdjęciu, to właśnie są hill forty i od razu widać, że to nie jest naturalna formacja, ponieważ jest to dosyć równe. Okay? Next thing is to know about Dorset is that it is the third most popular county in England for overnight stays. No to już mieliśmy pierwsze popularne, w którym się zostaje na noc, w którym się nocuje. To były te dwa pierwsze, czyli Somerset i Cornwall, a teraz mamy trzecie. I jeszcze taka informacja, że 1/3 z tego hrabstwa stanowi właśnie kolejny taki rezerwat przyrody oznaczony tą marką Outstanding Natural Beauty. To jest duża dosyć część i naprawdę warto to miejsce zobaczyć, szczególnie wybrzeże. Specjalność Dorset Apple Cake is a fruit cake with apples, currants spiked with brown sugar. I to jest, słuchajcie, po prostu szarlotka. Co w niej jest takiego specjalnego, bo ona ma na wierzchu karmelizowany brązowy cukier i jest bardzo smaczna. Możecie spróbować upiec coś takiego w domu. bo nie jest to specjalnie trudne i wtedy będziecie mieli szansę spróbować angielskiej kuchni, która wcale nie jest taka fatalna, a nawet czasem bywa pyszna. And the next place is South Coast, and here you can see two landmarks of the South Coast, which this is the Spinnaker Tower in Portsmouth and the Royal Pavilion in Brighton. They are popular tourist destinations, places at which you should take photos and visit them. And the South Coast is generally famous for music and arts festivals, also for vineyards, and vineyards are places where vines are grown and wine is made. Vineyards to są winnice. Może też dla Was to być ciekawa informacja, że w Anglii robi się wino, ale robi się wino i to podobno może rywalizować z winem francuskim nawet. And another thing to know about South Coast is that it has got a maritime history, a long maritime history. It has got a lot of ports and little harbors, and it was used as harbor place, as the place for maritime industry, for ships, for years, for ages. I tam jest rozwinięta tak jakby ta część marynistyczna, czyli związana z morzem. Jest bardzo dużo zatok, bardzo dużo portów i już od dawien dawna właśnie ta część Anglii, czyli Wybrzeże Południowe, było takim centrum morskim, powiedziałabym, całej Wielkiej Brytanii. Nie było tyle takich miejsc, w których znajdowało się aż tyle portów i tak rozwinięty był przemysł związany z budowaniem statków, jak właśnie na Wybrzeżu Południowym. And also an interesting thing is that in South Coast you also have rolling countryside and winding roads, and they've got a lot of routes for walkers, for pedestrians, and cycling lanes for cycle lovers and cycle routes. Jest to też fajne miejsce dla osób, które lubią chodzić, zwiedzać na piechotę, wędrować, bo jest tam bardzo dużo szlaków i również jest wiele tras rowerowych interesujących z ładnymi widokami i też ludzie z tego korzystają. No i Lake District. Lake District, jak sama nazwa wskazuje, to są takie, powiedziałabym, brytyjskie Mazury, tylko troszeczkę większe. Ma jeszcze to dwie inne nazwy, Lakes i Lakeland. I to jest wyjątkowe jest to, że to nie jest na płaskim terenie jak nasze Mazury, tylko to jest bardziej górzysty region i on znajduje się w północno-zachodniej Anglii, więc tak jak mówiłam, to jest rzecz, która nie będzie związana z wybrzeżem. This place is famous for lakes, for forest, for mountains, and also it is famous because it was very popular with romantic poets like William Wordsworth, and with also later, after Romantic poets, there was another wave of authors, and I'm sure you've heard about Beatrix Potter, who wrote about the famous rabbit. She was also a resident there. And this Lake District, this whole area, is on UNESCO World Heritage Site list. It's a World Heritage Site since 2017. And summer sun destinations, as I mentioned before, British people also go to other parts of the world, not only to England for holidays, and they prefer those holidays in the winter and in spring months. And usually they choose Spain, France or Portugal or Greece, as I mentioned, and mostly they visit Europe. 80% of all trips is made to Europe, and half of those trips are package holidays. I told you before in some lessons what package holidays are, like everything is included, the flight, the hotel, the food, right? So they choose package holidays and go to Spain, France or Portugal, and you can see a pic from Portugal and a pic from France in the slide. And usually they travel by air, by sea or by Channel Tunnel, actually under the Channel Tunnel. As you can see, they travel a lot, and it's very popular to go on holidays in Great Britain. It's, I think, more popular than in Poland, and to go overseas, because basically for British people, holidays abroad are cheaper. And as I mentioned at the beginning of this presentation, British people like to spend winter in the sun, and they choose to go to Canary Islands, to Cyprus, to Egypt, to North Africa, Tunisia and Morocco, to Goa, which is in India, to Gambia, to Florida. And Florida is becoming more and more popular in the Caribbean as well, because it's kind of connected, because you can go on the Caribbean cruise from Florida. And let's look at the history of British holidays habits. So between 1800 and 1850, people who were working, normal workers, they didn't have holidays. They only have 3 days when it was Sunday or Christmas or Easter. So they didn't travel a lot. Then between 1850 and 1900, the railway system started to become more developed and better, and it helped people travel cheaper and in a shorter time. So British people started going on seaside trips by train. Between 1900 and 1960s, caravan holiday became popular. And British started to take short summer holidays for a week, and they went camping in caravans or basically in a tent. And it was popular because more and more people started buying cars and using cars. And even now, it is popular to have a camper van and to travel around Europe or around UK in it. In 1970s, the airline industry became more accessible, and so-called package holidays were offered. So the British started going to Spain on cheap flights, not paying much money, and generally going abroad. In 1980s, skiing holidays became popular. Going to the Alps, to Europe, was popular. And also, it turned out that it is cheaper to go on winter holidays to Europe than to stay in UK. And between 1980s and 1990s, the USA became a popular destination because the trips to USA were much cheaper. And most people, even those simple workers, started going abroad. And from 1990s up to now, second holiday, apart from the summer holiday, is possible because flights and transportation and hotels are becoming cheaper and cheaper, and also Australia and some exotic locations are a British thing now, accessible for every British person, not only to rich people. Także jak sobie weźmiemy pod uwagę, że tylu Brytyjczyków jeździ na wakacje i to kilka razy do roku, to musicie wiedzieć, że to jest dlatego, że po prostu dla nich to wszystko stało się tańsze, oni więcej zarabiają, jest też łatwiejszy transport. No i dzięki temu ten rozwój wakacji brytyjskich jest coraz to bardziej popularne. Tu są, słuchajcie, źródła, z których korzystałam. Dziękuję Wam bardzo, życzę miłych wakacji i odpoczywajcie i może widzimy się we wrześniu.